Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to look at an update of the SuperCoach EPL team. As you can see from the countdown, we've got just over a week until the start of the season. So I had a bit of a look around, latest transfers and team news and the like, and have adjusted my strategy a bit since the last video. At least I'm pretty sure I have. So I guess in goal, previously we looked at doubling up with a premium and a cheapie, and they can obviously cover each other. With I had Allison and Mamadashvili, but since then news has come out that it looks like James Trafford is gonna get the gig at Man City as the number one. So obviously, if he comes into the starting team at 3.9 million for Man City, that's you've got to absolutely get on that. So if Trafford is to start, I think then the strategy is to go the double cheapies because we'll probably play Trafford most weeks. So I've got Petrovic as a cheap option, so 4.5 million. Obviously not bottom dollar, but pretty well nailed on as the starter at Bournemouth, so should make a little bit of cash in the short to medium term. So in defence, I think there's a lot of value in defence. So I haven't spent a lot of cash, but I have brought in Frimpong as a bit more of an expensive pick at 6.5 million. Bit of news that Connor Bradley's bit injured, struggling to get up for game week 1, which would then sort of lock in Frimpong's job security. And I guess that's all we really need for him to get a couple of good starts and make some cash. The other bit of thinking as well is looking at the fact that we have very limited trades. We only get 44 trades for the season, actually 46. I'll just double check that before I commit. Yeah, so 44. There you go. I was right the first time. So I guess you do have to sort of have a few options that you're willing to hold for the season, and I think Frimpong would be in that category. So we'll take the value at the start of the season and lock him in. Van de Ven's probably another one we could potentially hold for the season. Nailed on at a top 6 club. Spurs should be better defensively this year, which is good signs for what we want. And Juve. So I think in the last video I did reviewing Mark's team, he had Juve and I wasn't too sure about him. Having a bit of a look, he is a weapon and I think should be in everyone's team. They did have him listed on one of the sites. I think Fantasy Football Pundit had him as a attacking winger, but it does look like he is the left wing back opposite Wan-Bissaka. So Wan-Bissaka, if we have a look at his price point, is 8.2 mil, or 8.3 basically. So we're getting a similar profile for less than half the price, and probably he's even more attacking than Wan-Bissaka. So I think this is an absolute get on, and probably another one that could just be held for the season. De Kuiper at Brighton, still a fan of, but just can't fit him in the starting team at the moment. So we'll have him and Hoover as a wing back at Wolves. They don't have the best fixture to start the season against Man City, but we don't need to play him every week. We just need him to start. Potentially get some attacking returns, potentially get a few clean sheets throughout the season, and he'll make us a bit of cash. In the midfield, we're going with Cole Palmer. Pretty obvious choice, I think. Set and forget options for the season. I guess my sort of pod pick for the season, Minter. Big fan of his attacking upside. Just needs the job security, so that's what I'm betting on that he gets that. Madison's gone down injured. One of my other sort of big shouts for the season with a knee injury. So we've just brought in his replacement, Sarr. Seems to be filling in that more attacking midfielder role. Until we sort of see that Tottenham brings in an alternative option, I think he offers a bit of value at that price. Definitely not a keeper. Like we're talking about, we could probably keep a lot of these options, but Sar's definitely one we're looking for an early season start and look to flip early. Rodri, pretty self-explanatory. World's best player, super cheap. Even if he doesn't get the goals and assists, he'll get some solid points just from starting and key passes and the like. He'll sort of accumulate um, points throughout the season. And Arias, another Wolves player sitting on the bench for game week 1, pretty cheap with his sort of attacking upside. So we definitely expect to get a bit of value out of that pick. And then the front three hasn't changed. Salah, Verts, Gyökeres. I think these two are highly undervalued for what they can produce. Um, and it can be a case of we might look to flip one of them throughout the season. But I guess we've got to factor in injuries and stuff as well. So, not expecting a lot of movement in the forward line. Um, I think, the value at the moment is probably a bit further back. But then I guess the challenge is trying to flip these players because once they sort of establish themselves and get to their price point, you kind of need other cheaper options coming in. So, that's probably the challenge is not only getting the value out of these players, but then finding the alternatives to slot in. So um, I think it's just one of those things where we've got to chase value. In terms of the trading strategy, I think sort of looking at it in blocks. So probably the first block will be, very similar to our regular Supercoach season, where after the first couple of rounds, we see the big break evens and we chase that value. I think we'll definitely be doing a few trades early, using a couple of boosts. The next one will probably be in and around AFCON. So, Mo Salah's going to miss a few weeks at one stage. So we obviously want to use a couple of trades to move him out and in and take advantage of the value around there. There's obviously other African players missing as well. So there will be some opportunities to grab some value there. Um, and then I guess the last sort of one is towards the back end of the season. So after AFCON, we've got the January transfer window. So there'll be some moves there. There'll be some value picks come in. So I think, those are the few parts of the year where we'll be trading fairly heavy. Sometimes after that, you've got to sit on your hands for a few weeks. So, when you are looking at trading, you're not just trying to, pick up, who's playing Sunderland this week or whatever team is struggling in the league. You do have to have a bit of a broader look to, well, over the next 5 or 6 weeks, is this going to prove to be value? So, pretty interesting. Like I said, the limited trades, I mean, it's probably not too dissimilar to Fantasy Premier League in that you only get one free transfer a week. So that's 38 free transfers, but obviously you can do more. You do have your wild cards, your free hits. And I think also they're doing an additional 5 transfers for free with the AFCON as well. So there's like almost a third wild card in the season. So this will be slightly different. Obviously, the way the cash works and stuff is slightly different too. So we'll try and take advantage of all that. But not too much in this video. So we'll wrap it up there. Obviously, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you're loving the SuperCoach EPL content. Subscribe for all the other fantasy sports content on the channel. Jump on the Discord as well if that's your thing. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.